mom hack number 3, and I'm so excited about this particular topic. And the reason being is not an exciting topic at all, but it is exciting to be able to help and give some tips and tools and strategies on how to figure out how to manage and deal with mom guilt, and find particular strategies that's going to help us move forward when it comes to mom guilt. And so this is mom hack number 3. If you have not seen the other 2 mom hacks, be sure to go and look for those. We have mom hack number 1, which was time management. Mom hack number 2 was the importance of planning and organization. So go check out those videos. But today I want to dive right into mom hack. I woke up this morning and my sinuses are acting up really bad. So bear with me as I go through this video today. I do have my water here that I will be drinking periodically. So if you have never seen any of my videos, or you're not following me on social media or anything of that nature, you're more than welcome to join me and connect with me on social media. Mostly I'm on Instagram and Facebook. My name is Tramika Craddock, wife mompreneur. And what I do is I help moms find a healthy balance between the daily tasks of motherhood and pursuing their dreams. And so I'm so excited to do these mom hacks. And again, today is number 3, and we're talking about mom guilt. I cannot tell you how many times I have spoken with moms, or even me being a mom as myself, where we have dealt with this particular subject. It's very, very, very serious, very important to talk about, and that's why I wanted to include it in one of the mom hacks today. Now, of course, it can take a lot of time to unpack this particular subject, and I don't have a lot of time to go over a lot of information, but I want to go ahead and plant a seed when it comes to mom guilt, whatever you're dealing with when it comes to mom guilt. And I want to give some examples so we're clear on what I mean when I'm talking about mom guilt. And so mom guilt can be anything such as should I breastfeed or give my baby baby formula. Let's start like right at the beginning, as soon as we have the child, right? And so, breastfeeding is good for us. The doctors, they tell us that it's good for us, but what are some factors that may be coming into play where you feel like you may have to do baby formula? And so that's a mom guilt. Or giving your child fast food and not cooking this 5-course meal. I remember I was so guilty of that when our children were smaller. Every single night, at least 2 sides of meat, some type of bread, everything. And the first night where I was just like, I didn't plan, y'all. This was years and years ago. And the first night where I had to give them sandwiches for dinner, I felt so guilty. But at the end of the day, guess what? They were full and they still slept the same. And so we just want to deal with some of these different mom guilt today. How about leaving your kid with a babysitter because you want to go hang out and have a girls' night, or you need to get some stuff done, you need to run errands. That can just be for a few hours. Or how about even if you have to go out of town for work or for business, and you have to leave your child behind with another person. That's an example of mom guilt. How about chastising your children? Now, every parent, every family is different. Everybody believes in doing things a little bit different when it comes to chastising your child or correcting them on behavior. But how many times have we felt guilty for whatever we even agreed that we said we would do? We may have said, well, we're going to sit down and have conversations, or we're going to use the timeout chair. But then have you ever put them in the timeout chair and they're like pouting and you feel guilty about it? But if we react on that guilt, and that's what I want to talk about today, sometimes we're not being productive, or we're not helping our children in the long run. And so even with that example, putting them in the timeout chair, how would they learn? If this is the punishment that you agreed upon, but then you're reacting on the guilt that comes with it because they made a particular face, how would they learn? And so strategies around that is, number 1, just getting over the guilt, trying to just figure that portion out. Or, okay, is there other ways that I can chastise them where I'm not going to feel guilty? Probably not, because this is your child. So, of course, you want to do everything for them and make them happy. And so, again, I just want to talk about some of this stuff today and kind of flesh it out. Please, when I do the live Q&A on Saturday, at 10 a.m. on Instagram and Facebook. Please make sure that you're asking questions. And I want to really talk about this subject a little bit more. How about not giving them everything that they ask for? Who's guilty of that? I know I've been guilty of that. Every little thing that they see in the store, they're not learning when we do things of this nature. And so we have to learn how to deal with our mom guilt. How about missing an event? I had posted a while ago on my social media how I went to a candlelight luncheon with my son, and there were some kids that was in line with him and said, hey, my parents not going to show up because they have to work. Well, I'm like, okay, y'all can come sit with us. Those parents probably felt really bad. And so I know that when I worked full-time years ago, I had an issue with missing events. I felt horrible about it. But at the end of the day, I'm going to give some strategies that's going to help with those particular things. And I'm not saying that we won't ever feel bad, that we won't ever feel guilty. Every mom goes through it. But what things could we put into perspective or into play that's going to be able to help us with this particular subject? And so simply mom guilt is feeling guilty, ashamed, unworthy on various topics or various things when it comes to motherhood. And so whether they are just being born to when they're an adult, is blaming yourself for something that has occurred. And so that's what mom guilt is: feeling guilty, ashamed, and unworthy when it comes, and blaming yourself for something in particular when it comes to being a mom. So one of those tasks. And so that's what we're unraveling today and we're dealing with today, this mom guilt. And there's a group on Facebook. I asked them, I polled the particular group, and I just wanted to know, I was curious, just trying to do some market research. Why are we not pursuing our dreams? Why are we saying as women, as moms, that I would like to have this particular life? This is the life that I desire, but for whatever reason, we're not fulfilling it, or we're not taking the baby steps to get us where it is. What is it? Is it money? Is it the resources? Is it you don't have the knowledge or the understanding? What is it that's keeping us back from pursuing our dreams? And so one of the biggest things that came up was the topic on mom guilt. And so I wanted to talk about that particular thing today. Now, here's a few reasons why we do have to deal with the mom guilt. We can't just say, oh, we feel guilty, react on it, I'm not going to punish them, I'm going to buy them everything they need. We can't do that. We do have to deal with it. Excuse me. The reason being is mom guilt leads to depression, overcompensating for our children. Like I said, going through the store, everything they ask for, you're just getting it for them. Or if you're missing this particular area, you're overcompensating in another area. For example, you may have missed the event, so for that day you felt guilty that you didn't come to the school luncheon, and so they may act up in that particular day, and then you're not given a punishment because you feel bad and that they did it because of you didn't show up. And so those are things that we have to deal with. I'm going to go into a little bit about that a little later on. Addictions. We can cause ourselves to create bad habits or have addictions based on mom guilt. And one of the biggest ones is perfectionism. That is an addiction. And so sometimes we're trying to be this perfect person because we're dealing with all this guilt that's coming from things that we're blaming ourselves for. And sometimes it's not even things that are our fault. And so other things that comes from mom guilt is not following your own dreams and desires. I talked about that. You feel guilty. You want to take a class to be able to get certified in a particular area, but you feel guilty for leaving your child with the next door neighbor or your parents. Or if it's somebody you trust, it's okay. Talk to your child. Let them know, look, if they're old enough, mommy's trying to pursue this particular dream, or I'm trying to do this so that I can make a better lifestyle for the both of us or all of us, whatever that looks like, whatever your family dynamic looks like, and take the class. And so it also leaves us unproductive. And so if you're trying to be a perfectionist all the time and trying to get stuff done and making sure the bow is perfectly right in their hair and the ponytails are just right in their hair and the shoelaces and the outfit and all, leave perfectionists alone sometimes and just get the job done. And we talked about that yesterday. But this is some of the things that mom guilt does lead us to: depression, overcompensating, addictions, not following our own dreams or desires, and leaving us unproductive. These are the reasons why we need to have the conversation, and we need to find tips, tools, and strategies that's going to help us with the mom guilt. And so these are a few things that I want you to know if you are a person who is suffering or dealing with mom guilt. You are going to forget sometimes. So how about the luncheons that you just didn't make it to, or the classroom parties because you forgot? You are going to forget sometimes, and guess what? It's okay. Another thing is, you are not perfect. We are not perfect human beings. We're not going to get it right 110% of the time. We may have a very good week, and then we may have a week that's totally off. And so knowing that you're not perfect and not beating yourself up and blaming yourself for stuff is what's going to help you deal with this particular subject. You can't be everything to everyone. And so you can't be at this child's school at the same time, at this person's games. Has that ever happened to you? Any of my parents who may have multiple children, we have 3 children, and sometimes we have 3 things going on all at once. And so I'm like feeling guilty, like, oh, I can't choose. And so it's about having conversations with your children, or trying to figure it out, or maybe bringing somebody else in. And I'm going into like some of my strategies on how to help with this stuff. Okay, so you go and support this child. I'll go support this child, talking to this child, letting them know, well, I'll be an hour late over here. Figuring out things to make it work so that you don't feel guilty and that everybody's covered. You cannot be everything to everyone, and that is especially important for my parents or my moms who have multiple children like I do. I have 3 kids, and your kids will be okay. That's something big that is important to know. Being transparent, using my daughter as an example. The first time I wasn't able, she's just cheering at the games. The first time I wasn't able to make it to a football game because I'm the PTA president at the elementary school. And so we were having a big event. We needed all hands on deck. But it was a game night for her. And she's cheering, so she's not like, on the court or on the field or anything of that nature. But it didn't matter to me because I wanted to be there to support her in everything that she did. And I felt really bad, like, oh my God, I'm going to miss an activity or an event. I can't be at both places. And I believe that our middle daughter had something going on as well. So my husband was going to be there, and then I got these 2 kids. And essentially it was like, okay, I got to choose. And it's not that you're choosing, but we are looking at the priority, and we're looking at, and you have to know your kids as well. We're looking at the emotional health of our kids. Who will feel upset or sad if you don't show up. And so knowing that I had a responsibility as PTA president, but then knowing that I'm a mom first, I took all of that into perspective. And what I did was I just decided to have a conversation with her. Would you be okay if I missed the game? She was like, yeah, like, you don't have, it's just cheerleading, mom. Like, you don't have to be there. But I still was like, okay. Like, I even asked her like 3 times afterwards, like, are you sure? Guess what, y'all? She was perfectly fine. She was perfectly okay. And guess what? I went to the event as PTA president, took care of what I needed to there, talked to her, asked her about the game later, and I went to the game the next week. And we moved on with life. No hard feelings. Nothing happened. Nothing, just blew up, or, I didn't go to sleep crying. She didn't go to sleep crying. And so we really just have to look at things and put things in perspective. When it comes to when we have multiple children, and making sure that our children are okay. And that brings me into some of my tips. One of the tips, I'm going to jump down, but one of the tips is, and I actually have 7 tips, but I'm going to jump down to number 6 because that brings up a point from what I was talking about before. Having a conversation with your kids to help them gain understanding on what's going on. As an adult, we have to choose in certain situations. We have to choose, and it's not that we're choosing another situation over them, but we do have responsibilities as well. And so if your child is old enough, sitting down to them, explaining, so that when they become an adult or when they have to start making decisions, they will understand. How about even giving your child an opportunity to decide? Sometimes when my kids have a whole bunch of stuff going on, you got this friend having a party, you got a game over here or whatever, What do you want to do? What priorities are you going to put into play? And because that allows them and helps them understand when us as parents or me as a mom have to choose or make a decision, it helps them understand just a little bit more. And so, of course, they're kids at the end of the day. They may not have the full understanding. The older that they get, they will. I have a teenager. She gets it. She understands. But having those conversations with our children are very, very important, very, very key. And it's going to help us, because if you're talking to your kid and they're just like, whatever, like it's cool. Like, okay, another example. I have so many examples of this. There was a luncheon that they were going to be having at my son's school, and this was earlier in the year, and I had to meet with a client, and they told us about it a little bit late. And so I had already had this scheduled, and I always tell people I am a stay-at-home mom first. So my children, my family, my household always comes first. And so I had to make a decision whether or not I was going to reschedule with this client. So I talked to my son. I just wanted to see how he felt about it. And so I can make that decision, or whether or not I needed to reschedule or what I needed to do in this particular situation. He was just like, it's okay. I'm going to be with my friends anyways. Okay, well, excuse me. And so in that particular situation, it was made clear to me it's okay if I miss this particular event, because he cares more about hanging out with his friends, and it's okay. And so I was able to go on and meet with the client. So that's just an example that I wanted to use. But let's go back up to number 1. And so these are 7 tips or strategies that I'm going to give you when it comes to the matter of dealing with mom guilt. Number 1, create your own blueprint. We can't look at what she's doing over here, what this person is doing over there. I see this person on social media, on Instagram. She's cooking 5-course meals every night for her kids. Create your own blueprint of what is going to help you when it comes to day-to-day tasks and dealing with mom guilt. That brings me into number 2, which is do what works for your family. She may be able to have time to cook 5-course meals every single night. For me, that will wear me out. I do not cook every night. I have my days where I cook and we have leftovers, and then I have my days where I do quick meals. That's a whole nother topic when we're talking about meal planning, but I don't cook every single night. So you can't look at what another person is doing, compare it to the relationship or what you're doing with your child, and then feel guilty about it. We can't do that. And so that brings me to number 3, which is give up the ideal of perfection. And so you're not going to be, I mentioned this before, you're not going to be perfect 100%, 110% of the time. You may have a good week, you may have a good day, you may have a bad week, you may have a bad day. And so stop beating ourselves up and saying, okay, well, this day went the way that it did, but the day prior or the week prior, that was a really good week. And so what did I do that week that I can implement this upcoming week or this next day that's going to help me to be just as productive and not feel guilty? So creating your own blueprint, doing what works for your family, and giving up the ideal of having to be perfect. And so I put up a post earlier about the Christmas tree. And so I don't know how many moms are guilty of, I will tell my kids, they're so excited every year to put the ornaments and stuff on the tree. So I'm like, okay, go ahead and put it up. I let them do it all night. You know, you may have hot cocoa, listen to Christmas music, whatever that looks like. As soon as they go to bed, I will rearrange it so it's just like this beautiful, pretty tree. And I said, you know what? I'm not going to do that this year. I'm going to give up the ideal of being perfect. I'm going to have an imperfectly perfect tree. And the reason why the ornaments might not be exactly how I want them, they may not flow, or they might be too close together. I mean, like, I really was like, let's spread it out. Let's make sure the colors are spread out. And I want this beautiful, you know, tree. What I decided was my children took their time to do it. We had a great time sitting down, spending time as a family. I'm going to leave it just the way it is. And that's huge for me. I don't know about anybody else, but that's huge for me. And so I just decided that, especially for this upcoming year, since I'm helping you with these tools and strategies or these subjects on how to be successful for the upcoming year, I just decided for the upcoming year, I'm going to give up the ideal of being perfect because it leaves us unproductive. The time that I spent rearranging that tree, it's time that I could have been working on business, getting ready for the next day, doing PTA stuff, doing stuff for my kids, spending time with my husband, whatever that looks like. And so I'm going to give up the ideal of this perfection. Number 4 is the grass is not always greener on the other side. The lady that's on social media cooking those 5 course meals a day, is she tired? Is she overwhelmed? Is she fatigued? Does she even want to do it? And so we look at, especially on social media, and social media is just, sometimes it's lies, sometimes it's truthful, but it's what the person behind the screen wants you to see. And so knowing that they may be great in this particular area, but not so much in this other area. And I'm not saying that we're going to be perfect across the board, but what I do is I'm helping you with the tip, tools, and strategies to help you find a healthy balance across the board when it comes to relationships and motherhood, and when it comes to self-care, and and so making sure that we don't spend too much time over here looking at what this person's doing and trying to build our life or our blueprint on what we see. We're making sure that we're taking care of all the areas in our life, and so that we can pursue our dreams and the life that we always desire. And so just knowing that the grass is not always greener on the other side, and that's why number 1 is so key to build your own blueprint. Number 5 is find specific strategies to help you with your guilt. And so if you feel like, this is another good example. People feel like, or moms feel like, oh, I'm letting the TV babysit my child. You're cooking. You can't watch them and cook at the same time sometimes. And so put them in front of the TV for 15, 20 minutes, even 30 minutes. Sometimes we feel guilty about that. Oh, because you have all these articles out here, all their brain cells getting messed up, or whatever the case may be. If you feel like you have guilt in a particular area, and I say that having them watch TV too much, or not buying everything that they ask for, or not spending enough quality time, or not making it to the school events, come up with a strategic plan that's going to help you meet these particular goals. So if that's very important to you, making sure you show up at all the events. What can I do? Not calling in or not using vacation time if we're working a job, so that we can have those allotted times out to be able to go into the school if your company allows. If you have a business, making sure I block off time where clients can book in these particular time, making sure your clients may be understandable about you having to cancel. So just putting things into perspective that's going to help us deal with this particular guilt. And so if I want you to think right now, if there is what's the top 3 things that you're feeling guilty about when it comes to mom guilt? What's the top 3 things that come up over and over again when it comes to mom guilt? I want you to jot those 3 things down on paper. I want you then to say, how do they make you feel? And then I want you to then thirdly, what can I do to avoid feeling this way? So coming up with some particular strategies. And once you do that, on Saturday when we do the live Q&A, if you want me to flesh these out, or if you want to inbox me or DM me now, that's perfectly fine. If you want to flesh these things out so that we can talk about them a little bit more, you couldn't quite come up with a strategy for something in particular, I will be more than happy to help you, because we have to push past this mom guilt. We do, y'all, because it's too many moms that's out here not pursuing their dreams and desires for what they have, this ideal life that they have. They're dealing with depression, addictions. It's getting really bad. So we have to deal with the mom guilt, and I want to help you do that. Number 6, we already talked about that, having a conversation with your kids. Number 7, which is very, very, very important, find support. Who around you, in your family, friends, what community can you join? And I have a community, if you all are interested or want more information about that, where we are going to 110% support each other, especially when it comes on to this particular subject matter. You have to find support, even if you have to pay for it, if you have to go to a counselor, whatever that looks like, making sure that you find support, taking off responsibilities of yourself so that you can do what you need to do for your child. That's a strategy. So finding support when it's going to help you deal with these mom guilt. So I want to go ahead and recap those just one more time. 7 things let me recap everything for you. Mom guilt leads to depression, overcompensation, addictions, including perfectionism. It does not allow you to follow your dreams or your own desires that you have for your life. It leaves us unproductive. And so with the things that I want you to know, it's okay. It's okay because you are going to forget sometimes. You are not perfect. You can't be everything to everyone at the same time. Your kids will be okay. And so these are the 7 tips that I want to leave with you when it comes to dealing with or trying to overcome the mom guilt. Create your own blueprint. Do what works for your family. Give up the ideal of being perfect. The grass is not always greener on the other side. Find specific strategies that's going to help you overcome the guilt. Have a conversation with your kids to help them gain understanding. And 7, find support. And so these are the things that I want you to do. And a good example, I want to talk about this particular movie. It's called Bad Moms. They actually have a Bad Moms too. And it has a lot of profanity in it, just to give you that warning. But it's a really, really good and funny movie. And so although they may have put the movie out to be like really funny and hilarious, it is a really good comedy. So if you have not seen that, I need to like have a event where we all just watch Bad Moms together. If you have not seen that, it is a really good movie. The second one, the setting takes place around Christmas, so it's a perfect time to try to watch that particular movie. And so with Bad Moms, it's this mom, just the short version, it's this mom who's like, she's always late for stuff. She can't seem to ever do stuff right. Her kids is telling her, she realizes herself. Her mom is like this perfectionist and getting on her about like being this perfect mom. And so she's just like, oh. And so she decides that I'm going to try to be this perfect mom that everybody's telling me I need to be. So she joins the PTA. And she's trying to do all this stuff for her kids. And it makes it even worse because the moms of the PTA are just like crazy perfect, 200, 300% perfect as to what they show anyways in the beginning of the movie. And so, you know, she just gets frustrated and overwhelmed and she's tired and she's upset. And, you know, the frustration kicks into the point where she's just like, you know what? I'm giving up being a perfect mom. I'm giving up being a good mom. I'm just going to be a bad mom and I'm going to love it. And so she meets these other 2 women who don't get along with the PTA as well. And that's a whole nother topic of people thinking PTA moms are perfect. We're not perfect. I am PTA president at a school, vice president and event coordinator. So I have my fair share of PTAs and PTO experience, and I can say firsthand, I am not perfect. So we're not perfect. But going back to the movie, so she's just like, you know what? I'm going to be a bad mom. So she's just doing all this crazy stuff, and she's just having fun and enjoying it with these 2 other ladies. Like, they are embracing being bad moms, like not cooking breakfast, letting their kids eat like all types of crazy stuff for dinner. It's such a good movie and it's such a good concept because we can't go crazy and wild like she did. Of course, we still have to take care of our kids. We still have to make sure that we're doing stuff that's appropriate, but it helps us know that, okay, first of all, 2 things happen in the movie. We would stress ourselves out trying to be perfect or looking at other people thinking that their lives are perfect and trying to be like them. Number 2 is towards the end of the movie, it ends up showing how the other PTA moms who she thought was perfect, their life was in shambles. And so don't think that the grass is greener on the other side, or don't try to mimic or do something that's working for somebody else's family. Be the perfect mom that you can be for your family. Create your own blueprint. I can't say how important enough that is, because if you create your own blueprint, it helps you deal with and overcome that mom guilt. And so that's the information that I wanted to leave with you today. I did have some statistics for you and why it's so important that we talk about this particular subject. And if you know a mom who's dealing with this, and again, y'all inbox me, let's talk about it further. Let's talk about it further on Saturday morning when I do that live Q&A. If you know a mom who's dealing with this, make sure she sees this video. Make sure you're supporting each other. And so that's what finding support is about, making sure that you're in a community where you just like, you know, tell you are a good mom. It is okay. You may have had a bad day, but tomorrow is going to be better. What can you do? What can I do to help you to make sure that tomorrow's a better day? And so on 2014 on care.com, we all know that website, they took a survey and 1 out of 4 moms cries alone from the stress of trying to balance her career, children, and chores. And so 1 out of 4 women are crying alone at night about these particular subject matters. The daily task of motherhood is not going anywhere. What we have to do is find tips, tools, and strategies that's going to help us have a healthy balance in these things, still doing what we need to do for ourselves, and making sure that we move efficiently and effectively from day to day. And that's what I want to do as a coach, as a speaker, when I go in and speak to women, when I have women as coaching clients. That's the goal I'm trying to help you meet. And guess what? It looks different for everyone. And so we have to sit down, look at your life, put things in perspective, what's going to help you in particular. And so definitely reach out to me if you're saying that you are a person who you just need to have a session or you just need to talk. I will be happy to help you. That's all I have for you today. I hope that really helped in some way. Again, share with another mom who may be dealing with that particular subject. Make sure you check out Mom Hack number 4 as well. I'm going to be giving away some free resources to help you either start the business or progress your current business. See you later, guys.